Palagay ko mabibitin na naman ngayon. But Mr. Reynolds is no ordinary American. He is a third-generation American. Ibig sabihin, yung kanyang lolo ay nandito sa Pilipinas nung gera ba? Okay? At ikaw pinanganak during what time? You were born in Corregidor, right?
1910.
1910.
My father was born in Corregidor.
Ikaw, where were you born?
I was born in the States, in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
But you came back.
I came back.
So you're still a third generation American. Hablo Filipino?
A visitor.
You understand a little bit of Tagalog,
Konti
don't you?
lang, konti.
Okay. Si Mr. Reynolds po, where is this place?
In Mindoro Occidental, an island called Eileen. It's off the coast.
Eileen?
Eileen, I-L-I-N. It's off the coast of San Jose. And it's a small project. It's in its 8th year now.
All right.
And what we did was we started with barren ground.
Wow.
And I started that way because I wanted it to be most difficult. Anticipating success. Being able to say...
Barren as in wala na?
Wala.
Wow. And then now, how many trees do you have there?
100,000.
100,000? My goodness. Are you producing food already? Lumber? Whatever?
No, we're not producing anything at this particular time. What we've done is we've rehabilitated the soil. And when you consider that trees cut down for a period of 40 to 60 years, the soil has been exposed to ultraviolet rays for all that period of time. So basically we started with a desert. And, our main purpose was to create shade. The shade then would create a moisture barrier. The moisture barrier then would bring back the microbes, the insects, the birds, the fertilizer, the decaying vegetation, and that would rehabilitate the soil. After rehabilitating the soil, then we can start planting productive trees.
Is it possible to bring back the forest the way the Lord made it?
I don't think
in
so.
The first...
I don't think so.
How many % possible?
I don't see how it is possible. Mother Nature needs to do that herself. Unfortunately, the scientists say that once we get below 5%, that Mother Nature can no longer do it by herself.
Well, you told me about 94% of the country was forest before.
Yes, the Philippines, if it was not the most, it was close to the most forested tropical country in the world.
Yes, so how much of that can we bring back?
I think we can bring back as much of it as we want, as much of it as we are determined to bring back. And it would take a long time to do it. But I think in the long run it's going to be shorter than all of the other marvelous, brilliant solutions that the scientists are coming up with.
Well, we don't have much time, so I want to go straight right away. No? Aside from the good news of bringing the forest back to life, what will it do to our pockets? Anong epekto niyan sa kabuhayan namin? Natin.
Oh, it'll do tremendous things. It could make the Philippines first world.
Wow.
And it could do that within 30 years.
You mean to tell me our OFWs don't have to go anymore?
That's right.
They will come back to the family and we can have a strong country.
That's right. Now, I'm not casting any aspersions to mining, but mining, to quantify it, claims that they have $1 trillion in the ground that they want to take out. If you reforest, you'll have $2 trillion worth to your economy on a sustainable basis.
We actually have money in the forest that we need to bring out, if only we can.
We can.
Bring in the biodiversity.
That's right. And the biodiversity is the ability to re-engineer the forest, because the good part about the bad news is that we can bring the forest back in a re-engineered way. And that re-engineered way is that we can diversify 600 different species per hectare, and say that's 3 trees of each kind, gives us 1,800, plus we have some grasses and other things. So 200 flora, 2,000 flora, each producing 2,000 pesos worth of something each year. That's 4 million pesos per hectare.
But you know, Joseph, you are introducing new thinking. I've never heard of re-engineering the forest. In fact, I've never heard of depending on the forest for food. Maybe generations ago, yes, the nomadic tribes would go up to forest, hunt for food. But nowadays, we just go to the supermarket. We don't think about using or expecting anything out of the forest anymore, other than what? Lumber, rattan, whatever.
The traditional way of feeding ourselves for the last 10,000 years has been through agriculture.
Yes.
And agriculture, if it were a new technology today being introduced, no one would want to buy it. It's very destructive.
The wrong side of agriculture may be using chemicals.
Well, what do you do to the soil?
Well, but there's organic agriculture now, right?
There's organic agriculture, but you're still producing and you're cutting down and you're starting all over again. Why not plant one time, grow it for the next 150 years, and not cut it down at all?
You're saying that we should actually plant trees where we cut trees before
Yes.
and bring it back to agroforestry
Yes.
rather than depending on pure agriculture alone.
And build the capacity. It should be capacity building agroforestry advocacy. You start with the poor people and you build it from there, increase the capacity, add industry to it, you have commerce, and it's a system.
You know, you bring up a very controversial issue because if we do that, we can save money on irrigation. And that's a lot of money, right?
Yes.
Now, what would make sense is, since it is biodiversified, we are not relying on one crop alone. I understand that even Israel has banned rice as a crop because it's not economical. I think in the thinking of the Israeli government, they can make more money planting other things, and from that money they make, they can buy rice. Can't we have that kind of a thinking, Joseph?
Well, that's up to you. That's not up to me. I'm apolitical. I don't want to get into those
You're
issues.
part of us now. You're a Filipino by choice.
All right. Now that I've been invited, then I would say absolutely we can change the way of our thinking. It's just a mindset. We're stuck in tradition, and tradition tells us what we should be doing, and we have to break from tradition. It's time to break from tradition. The traditional thought is when you look at a tree, what do you see? You see timber or charcoal in the Philippines. We cut down 17 million trees a year just to make charcoal, which is the #1 fuel. But if we use biomass from the leaves of the trees, of the forest that we would reforest, we could replace 10% of the domestic oil needs in the Philippines from fossil fuel.
You're actually talking of biodiversity wherein parang mixed crops, no? You're not talking of monoculture where you have all mahogany.
No mono. Mono works.
Mono is bad.
Mono's not bad. Mono is a means to get the diversification. Because when you first you have to rehabilitate the soil, and generally that means you have to plant a particular kind of tree that will grow in bad soil.
Okay.
For instance,
temporary lang yun. It's a step towards biodiversity.
Yes. And then after you've reconditioned the soil and you have shade and you have moisture, then you can start planting fruit trees. There are 300 different varieties of fruit here in the Philippines. So you have a lot to choose from.
Okay, if we do that, will it give us hope that we can prevent all those scary things that Dr. Birusel told us about earlier?
Well, I don't know what the timeline is for reversing, but I do believe that we can achieve less than 2 degrees centigrade before 2020 if we reforest the tropical countries of the world.
Well, that's comforting to know in case we cannot get food from the sea anymore because Dr. Birusel said that the ocean might be destroyed. We can get food from the forest.
Well, we can, and also by replenishing the forest, we will help stop the sediment that goes down and silts all over the reefs. So maybe we can delay the catastrophe and maybe even reverse it.
To report about.
Absolutely. Thank
All right.
you.
Good evening.
Okay. Thank you.